All right, guys, let's work on these seats here. See if we can get some upholstery on them. I'll show you what I've got. So I got this material here, kind of that old school look stuff. And it's a little lighter than the original color, but it's got a little bit of that greenish look to it. It's kind of hard to find that stuff. So I got this at J&J Auto Fabrics in Rialto, California. So what I'm going to do now is going to go ahead and cut this out. And I'm going to cut my own patterns because it's really the only way to do it at this point. What you can do is, what I do, I'm going to take some, hopefully I have some, I don't know if I have any, some chalk, kind of draw where I need to cut, and then cut it nice and straight. And then make my sides pieces. Then I got some welt. No, I didn't go for the white or something like that, ivory, because originally it didn't even have any welt. So I just kind of wanted something really like a mild contrast, just slightly different. It's just a little bit lighter, and that'll give it a little offset. Normally it was flat stitched. I cannot flat stitch, so I don't know how to do that. So I know how to, I have a welting foot, and if I'm lucky, I'll get it to look okay and straight. We'll find out. Let's see if I can do it. It's been a while since I've sewn a seat, and so we will give it a shot and see what happens. So this shape goes on the sides like this. You always sew inside out, right? Anybody ever sewn before? So inside out, 1/4 inch is usually your stitch edge. So I got one for this side. I got the same thing cut out. I just flip it over and do the other side the same way. I just did like a 10-inch or 12-inch strip for the front, a 10-inch strip for the sides. These are the sides because it's, if you look at the seat, it's like this, right? It goes up 2 inches. So I got those on. I'm sewing one of them. I know the material, my hands are kind of dirty. Luckily this is easy to clean because I don't have to clean up everything before I start. And normally if I would do cloth, I would definitely. So there's my first stitch there. I'm going to put these two pieces on the front, and then I'll start sewing the binder on, or the welt on. And I have a welting foot. If you can see, there's like a little groove in there for the welt. So we'll get on that. I'll show you a little bit as we go. Probably won't have all this really, it's kind of hard for me to film this. It's not my element, you know, so I'm just kind of doing something I'm not used to doing. So it's really hard for me to think and film and do all that stuff. So I'll just bring you in as I do it. So next thing I do is I take this and then I flip it. I put it in place where it's going to go. This is the front. I have it flipped around backwards right now. But I put a mark here as to where the welt starts. So it's going to start down. Show you what I'm doing. As you can see. And I mark here, it's going to go all the way down. It's going to go around and down. So I'm going to make it go all the way down. I just figured sometimes you end them here and then tuck it under. I can always unstitch it and do it that way if I want to, but it's better if it's a little longer than short. Then I also have on here the center mark. I just need to know where your center is. So you line the two center marks up on both the seat top and on the front. I got a center mark like there. So mark those, you put those two together. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and just put the welt on. I don't know, a lot of guys probably do it all at once, but I'm not that good. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the welt on it, and then just be really careful, take my time, put the welt on, and then I'll sew the two pieces together, and then pretty much the bottom's done. It really doesn't take that long to do. That's why, you know, just, I don't know. I could have taken it to my upholstery guy. He's really cheap. He'd have done these things for, you know, a few $100s and it'd been over with. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do myself and show you guys a little bit of stuff and maybe learn something. Anyway, let's check it out. Yeah, that's what that looks like there. That's what the welt on there. It's got to be. So in the next part, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can get it straight. I don't know how it's going to look. We will see, shall we? One little key tip I think is to always go a little bit smaller. I think I went a little too big. Let's see if I can stretch this on here. I'm going to try and play around with it a little bit and see if I can get it to stretch out. Usually I can do it, and it'll get I think it'll get a whole lot better than this, but it may not look quite as good as somebody else did it. Well, let's try it and see what happens. Let me do a little bit of messing around with it. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up a little bit, and then we'll see how it fits and see how it looks in a second. All right, so I'm going to show you guys, see how wrinkly that edge is. Never put on your own seat covers. Got to play with them. Gonna put it in the sun for a little while. If you got sun, keep on it if you have to. Don't get it too hot. Jeez, I'll make this thing a little sturdier here. Not that I'm fighting. I was wondering what I'm. Sit there and play with it. Just keep going. Till it looks right. I think I can get that out still. I'm going to heat it up in the sun for a little while. Then I'll take another look at it in a little while after I've got it a little more done than that. You can kind of see where that's going. It's a little bit better, but it's still a little wonky. It's not my sewing really. I was pretty straight. It's just could be a little bit sewing, but it's still. It's just new. When it's new, you have to sit there and get it in the sun and get it warm and shrink it. We'll see how it looks when I'm done, and then see if it's, you know, I mean, it's a work truck, you know, so it's gonna look good. That looks a whole lot better than no seat. So anyway, we're in the seat that was in it. All right, let's. I'll come back, bring you guys back in a little bit. I'll do some more stuff like that. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. All right, so I got these made up here. What they do is they match. Let's see, that's the left, so that should be this side. It matches that arch. You see that there? The top matches when you lay it on the side, so that when you sew them together, you sew it inside out, right? It's sewn like this, right? And then it'll match that same arch when it's right side in. So that's how that is. I got a right and a left. All I do is just make one side and copy the other side. You know, make the shape, lay it up against it, make sure it's the right shape. And it is. It fits perfectly on that corner. It looks right on there. And this time I made it just a little bit smaller. Even though it's, you know, you're sewing this much of it, just if it's a little bit smaller, it's tighter. It'll come out a little better. So let's see how this one turns out. Maybe I'll get a little bit better. I noticed my welt, or my welting foot is probably the wrong size, so it comes out, the sewing is a little bit off. That's all right. It'll be good. Let's look at this one while it's in the sun. That's looking a little better. Shoot, when that's in the car, it ain't gonna look bad at all, really. But, you know, it'll be a little bit better than this, of course, when it gets done. I'll get all the strings out of there. So like I said, some of my stitching is a little off. Where it like didn't sew it right in the corner because it's the wrong size. I think this is a little bit smaller welt. You only have one foot, so that's what I'm using. So anyway, get on this one here and get this one sewn up, and then we'll take a look at it. Well, I gotta tell you, these do seem to fit better, even though they're not the greatest. They do fit better than the ones on my camper that I got from TMI. So it's not that bad. Looks all right. When it's in there, let's take a look at it in the car. I got this one done. Once these sit in the sun for a little while, they'll start to really look good. That looks pretty. I was surprised it conformed to that area where it goes in up and down there, where your seat back. I was surprised that looks that good. Binder looks pretty, you know, the welt looks good. Sun does wonders. Still a little wavy there, but you know, once it's in the car, it should look all right. We're an industrial truck. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Well, I gotta say, it doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty good, actually. And it's not perfect. It's got some edgy stuff, you know, but hey. When I get the floor mat in here, I got that already. Put that in. And then I've got the door panel material. When I get those on, painted, it's gonna look pretty nice. Actually, it's gonna be a clean single cab. You know, it'll look really like perfect for what it is, you know, for a work truck type of thing. You know, I don't even know if they really stitched these things very good and made them really nice. That seat looks really good though, how it's got the divots and it fits. You guys should see my Westfalia. It does not look this good. In fact, I'll probably redo that one with this material. I like this color better. You know, what do you think of the color? I think it looks pretty good. I was looking at this. Might not even look bad in here in the Westfalia. The sun's kind of in your eyes, guys, so sorry about that. But you can see here, it kind of blends in. You know, that doesn't match that, and it just kind of would just work with what's in here. I mean, it'd be nice if I could sew straight. I'd put the like the ivory, you know, welt on it, but no way. you got to be pretty good to be able to do that. Get that straight, that edge really straight with the ivory. You know, I'd never make that look good, but not bad for DIY. I think I might put the same thing in here. I'd make this look a lot better, more complete. All right, cool. There's my mat back there, if you didn't wonder. Maybe put that in. Well, that makes it look a lot better. Get the pedal things on there, the shifter knob, and the horn button, and all this stuff on the inside. Just having, you know, I'll get to it here. Then I got to run cables for the fast idle. Definitely want to make a couple more of those for my other buses. That is the coolest thing ever. You can just pull on that thing and their idle raises up or whatever, you know, for the lift. But anyway, yeah, that looks all right. Looks good. Good enough. Yeah. Looks like the rest of it, you know. Not perfect, but neat, looks good, you know. Nice. All right, let's move on. Got a big mess to clean up. All right, I was just trying to figure out how to get these cut out with the least amount of waste. I got these panels, these original, like TMI or something like that, from what I used to call the Barbie bus, which was this color. This bus came to me purple and pink, and it had these panels in it. There's no way I was ever putting these on anything. They're great as patterns. I have some actual patterns. If you were looking, I bought some panels, and then before I put them on, I patterned them for myself because I knew that I would probably make a lot of them. If you're looking for really nice panels, you want the painted ones or ones that are plain. You don't want ones with the color on them, like the combi panels. I think one of the best places, you can get the ones that are ABS. If you want those, they're made out of plastic. And those, actually, if you're doing your headliner panels, they slide in the easiest. If you're looking for the easiest ones to slide in place, those ones are the best ones for that. The best looking panels to me are the ones that Clara makes on the Samba. If you ever see hers, she sends them to you in like little, she makes these things out of cloth and sends them to you, then you send those back. And the only disadvantage to them is the shipping cost is kind of expensive, and you know, so it's kind of an expensive thing to get shipped. I think it's over $100 to get them shipped to you. So I was trying to get her to make patterns and sell those to people who are in rural areas. She is not interested in doing that, so it was kind of a bummer. But I thought it'd be good for people who are far away, who don't want to invest that much money, but she could make money selling the patterns. She didn't see it that way. She thought it was more taking away from selling the panels, which I think her panels, you could not cut them yourself and make them as nice as the way that she cuts them. I have no idea what she uses to cut her panels, but man, they are literally perfectly cut. So it's some kind of a amazing cutting system they use to cut them and make them as straight and as nice as they are. And for the price that she charges, I think it's like $400 for a full set of bus ones. For plain ones on this material, you know, it's really not a bad deal because they come already coated. I'm not going to say what she uses on them, but they're coated with something. It looks to me like a really, really nice paint job she does on them with some sort of paint. It looks like it's rolled on, possibly has a little bit of a stipple to it, but she does a super fantastic job on them. Wanted to plug her for that. If you're looking for panels, I would say that's the best way. The second thing is again, the ABS ones. It just depends on what you're wanting. Like this stuff is not waterproof at all. If it gets wet, it's going to swell up and have issues. Where, you know, the ABS ones, if you're looking for that route, they are pretty nice for that. And they're cut really amazing. You couldn't make them yourself and make them as nice as what they sell them for. So anyway, if you're going to do DIY, you have a set of patterns. This is the material, 1/8 inch stuff to use. So that's all. I'm just trying to lay them out to make sure that I have less waste. And I don't know if it really matters right now because I don't think I have a big enough piece to do the other ceiling panel with one. So I have, these are the two front ceiling panels for the single cab. These are the kick, except I don't use this part because this is for later model. That's the vent. It's not on this one. So I'm gonna make sure you got the right ones. Other than that, they're the same shape as far as I know. So I'm gonna cut these out, put them on here. You can imagine I probably won't get this in this video because I do have other things I need to do right now. I did order the part for my sewing machine to make this a little bit tighter, which will look better on the next set of seats that I do. I'm going to make some seats for the Westie. So I figured, well, and then I wanted to do ones for my Westie, redo my TMI ones. because I think these look a little bit better than the TMI, the cheap TMI. You know, the good TMI ones are in the other van. Look at them. Again, I did these too. These are done. I foamed the seats and put these seat covers on. You can see they're really pretty darn clean, very straight. Let's look at the other ones. Was really fortunate. I was at the swap meet and these were sitting there. All the panels, the door panels with this bulkhead and everything were all sitting there. These are like, I want to say they're like, I don't know, the whole interior for this thing, not including the headliner, I think TMI is with the seat covers, just the seat covers, not the padding and all that. I do my own padding. You can see it turns out pretty good. I do my own seat padding the same way that I did in this video. And then I just order these, which is quite a bit cheaper than ordering all the padding. And then it doesn't have that stuff that falls apart on them. They use that burlap underneath. I use something, I use carpet scraps. I'll use another sort of burlap stuff that's heavier duty on the springs, because that's the first thing that goes out is that burlap. So I don't use that on mine. So I use that, and then I use foam, and then I wrap it with something called scrim. That's what that last stuff is that I use. And then that keeps the foam from looking edgy. And on this one, I only used 1/4 inch scrim, so you can see a little of the edge from the foam. Or if I used 1/2 inch scrim, it comes out a little better on the seat bottoms. But on the seat backs, I think you still need to use 1/4 inch on some of them. So I'll put on the seat cover and just kind of check it. Sometimes I'll add another layer. You know, it's all the way you do it. So like on the bug seats, I use a 1/4 inch scrim, or 1/2 inch scrim, because it needs that thicker stuff for the TMI seat covers. And then I just put them on, you know. And so this interior, I saw this for $400. I did my own headliner. Not the greatest, but it looks all right. It's got some issues in the corner. See, way over there, little hanger. So what? Yeah, for what they wanted to put one in this thing. This was like a $200 headliner, and I put it in myself. Versus I took it to the Volster guys. They wanted, you know, thousands of dollars to put it in here. So I'm like, nope, I'll do it myself. Not that hard. But the seat covers, I got these at a swap meet. They had all the seat covers, but this one and the front seats were different, so they were the wrong ones for this bus. They had all the seat covers and all the door panels for like $400. So I bought them up and decided to. I already had this bus upholstered. I had painted door panels in it when I put in the other one, but I had them two-toned. I painted them two-toned. I painted the middle section white, top section black or gray, so it looked cool. It matched the seats. Had gray seats, but I just decided, since it was $400, and this is a $2,800 interior. If you just buy the seat covers and the door panels from Wolfsburg West, it was like $2,800. There's no way I was putting that kind of money in this. So I saw that for that price, couldn't pass it up. Went ahead and bought them, and then I bought for another $600 the front and middle seat. So I got $1,000 in the whole interior. You know, that's a good deal. So anyway, but that's how you do those normally. If you do the ones, this is the Barbie bus. Those panels came with this bus when I bought it as a project. The reason I call it the Barbie bus is it was purple and pink when I got it. So it's Barbie colors. So anyway, I'm going to be cutting these out. Just going to trace them. And then I'm trying to get somebody for you guys to make patterns and sell them on the Samba. So if you have a good set of door panels, original door panels, and you can trace them, you know, I told Clara to do it. I said, hey, you ought to do it, because if you don't, guess what? Somebody else is gonna. And, you know, she didn't really want to do it. So if you have good door panels, A good idea would be to do this. This is butcher paper. Buy a roll of this stuff. It's about $100 at a Sign Supply has them. Lay out all your door panels on butcher paper and trace them and make a bunch of sets of them and put them on the Samba. I'd say sell them for like $50 to $100. I bet people will just eat it up all day long because they don't have anything. And you could ship it, you know, for very cheap because you just roll that up, stick it in a little package, and have $5 mailing fee or whatever. You know, include it in your price. People would eat that up all day long, and you know, there's no labor in that really. You know, just tracing a bunch of panels and putting them on the Samba. If you got a set, might want to do that one. Again, I tried to tell Clara to do it. Somebody else is going to take advantage of it. So anyway, because there's people out there that just can't afford that $600, it's $500, $400 for the panels, and then $100 for shipping. That's $500, and then you got to send the things back, so you're into it $600. I'm not saying they're not worth it. Her panels are definitely worth the money if you can afford it. But there's people out there that cannot afford that. So they need a second option. That's why I informed her about that. I asked her maybe should she do it and wasn't interested. So anyway, somebody else, here's the idea. Do it, make a few bucks, and help other people that need those patterns. And I was trying to get a couple of shops around here that want to do it, and nobody's really interested. So I put it out to you guys, and if you've got a good set of panels, trace them up and get some butcher paper and send them out to people. It would be a great service for people to have. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys on the next video. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up here, and I'll get the rest of this interior done. I've got a new welting foot for the machine. Disadvantage to this old Rex. This is a Rex 26 188. The same as the 16 188 Singer. It's the same damn machine, except for I think this is mounted a little bit higher. So all the welting foots I have to buy, I have to weld little pieces on. So I have this, you know, 3/16 welting foot, and I got an 1/8 inch one coming, but I have to order 2 of them and then cut it and then weld a little piece on to make it work on this machine. A little bit expensive for parts, but once I get that done, this machine should work fine, and it'll sew welt. I'll get a little bit nicer looking seat cover. I decided I'd do this for fun. I've always wanted a sewing machine, so I bought one a few years back, and this is the one I ended up with. In hindsight, if I were to get another machine, I would want a full walking foot machine. This one, if you see, it's all right if the string comes back. If you can see, the presser foot moves, okay? A walking foot, the presser foot holds, it goes up, the presser foot comes up, the needle moves forward and pokes through and then pulls the material. That is a better way if you're doing upholstery. But those machines, again, this was like $300 for this machine. Those machines are like typically around $1,000 or more, at least. $1,000 is kind of the minimum. They get up to $2 or $3 grand if you really get fancy. But then you can do a better upholstery job. Like this won't really, I mean, yeah, you could do it if you're really good with it and you just baby it along and take your time. I mean, on my corners, I do everything by hand. I just run this by hand when I get the sharp corner to go around. And then I had to modify this and put a smaller wheel on it so it really sews very slow. And then you can get something called a servo motor. So when you add up all those things, if you get a servo motor, slower wheel, you get all these things here, you're gonna end up with a pretty expensive machine. But this will do it. It's just a better machine. You'll do a better job, and you can do a straighter stitch and do a nicer looking upholstery. So that all makes a difference. It's not just skill of doing the machine, it's the machine you have. If you have a really good machine, you can do a really good job sewing with it. This machine's kind of mediocre, so I can't do a really good job of sewing with it. Plus, I'm just not very good at it as well. So, anyway, but that's a little bit about that. If you're interested in sewing or doing your own, get a walking foot, a full walking foot machine. Remember, the needle, it goes forward. If you watch one, the needle goes forward and goes like this. This one, the presser foot moves forward and helps pull the material through, which is better than just a regular standard hinged one where it just doesn't do anything. Those are really hard to sew with. If you're going to do an interior, even an industrial machine, you're going to have a lot of problems trying to go through the thicker stuff. It's just not going to, you're going to have to pull the material through, and then you get crooked stitching. That's not good. So this one here, it'll feed on its own. But when you start to get where, you're doing thick pleats, foam, and thick pleats and stuff like that, it's not going to mow over that stuff as easily as a walking foot machine will. That's kind of the short of it. Anyway, talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.